I wish good things to you who's watching this. I am Alexey, and it is that time of the year again. Time of technical difficulties and delays. No, not about that, but the World Cup, the Carcassonne World Cup is approaching. It's going to happen in a few weeks, and that's why all the teams are trying to prepare by arranging all these friendly matches, and we're going to be live streaming a lot of those. The first one it's going to be my teammates from Latvia playing against one of the strongest teams in the world, Team China. You can see all the lineups of this on the screen, although there has been a last-minute change in the lineups, which we're going to reflect in the future. Some very strong players for our opponents, including QAZ and a bunch of letters, who is Seung-Yu Chin, the World Cup semi-finalist, Dr. Tai Han, who reached a rating of over 800 and has been the hero of one of the most viewed videos on this channel, the first video of my Move of the Week series. Also some very strong players from Latvia, including Krishna, the 2024 Mind Sports Olympiad gold medalist, and Nepamai, the top 8 finisher from the most recent Carcassonne Champions League. So it should be an interesting match. Now, I've been juggling streaming duties and captaining duties a little bit. There has been a bit of an issue of Board Game Arena, which why some pairings need to be changed. I'm going to take care of that change right now. So basically, Zone 222 is going to be playing against QAZ, and Tomato Ken is going to play against Aphrodite 333. Oh, look at this. The players have 222 and 333 in the screen names. I haven't noticed that. And they're playing on adjacent tables. What a coincidence. Anyway, we're going to be following all 7 mat duels closely enough. As usual, these are going to be World Championship rules, so best of 3 for each duel. Whichever team wins more duels wins the match. We're going to be focusing on our table 7. That's Nepamai between Dr. Tai Han, which should be the closest matchup, but we will be peeking an eye. Peeking an eye? Can you say that in English? I don't think you can. But we'll be kind of following all the games a little bit. So Apple G's playing against Aki Stag, who's a new player for Team China. I haven't really familiarized with their style just yet, and looks that they're proceeding as quite a brisk tempo, as Apple G has, well, only 2 moves left for her to play. Aki Stag with just 1 move, I guess. Oh no, it's the other way. So both players still have 2 moves to play. Here, the Latvian appears to be in good position with 13 extra points on the scoreboard. The field situation maybe does not look that great for the play with the yellow meeples, and that's why she chooses to attack the field. But she does not quite get the tile that was needed for her to connect. Let's see if there's another one. No, there isn't. So apparently she was hoping for this road monastery. Well, the best that she can do is really grabbing a 4-point road, and that's about it. Yeah, so it looked like this was the coin flip for the game, and that China is about to get their first big point. No, little point, rather. Their first win in a game, which is not the same as win in a duel. Hi, self-evident. Hi, Andres. Oh, look at this. Kind of unlucky, because the last tile for red, so for our opponent, was also one of the tiles that was suitable for Apple G to connect. So in fact, this move here gave her a 66% chance of winning, because she needed to draw basically anything but this curve. So she needed to draw either the monastery or this. And it looks like it's going to be a big difference, as that big field under the control of the Chinese player. And 26 points is the difference. So Team China gets their first points. And the players are already prepared for the rematch. Whoops, not like this. Alrighty, let's see how our other matchups are doing. So Krishna is playing against Meme9, who was their former captain. Now their captain is Self-Evident, who is also playing. And here also the Chinese player seems to be doing really well with his green meeples and twice the number of the points that Krishna has on the scoreboard. He has 2 monasteries as opposed to Krishna's 1. Krishna has this really uncomfortable road meeple that has only 1 tile left for it to be recovered. But red has this wonderful threat of the city being completed. And if I'm not mistaken, there's still 1 tile and 1 tile only that fits into this square, the right-handed dagger. And if that is going to be drawn, then red, of course, is going to have quite a hefty advantage because this city is going to be worth like 22 points. Well, let's see if red manages to draw that tile, or if red manages to save that city in the first place, because we see that green is trying to block it. Green does not get a blocking tile just yet, simply a quick point opportunity. Ooh, okay, I need to adjust the scoreboard a little bit. Gotcha, gotcha. Wait, what if I do this? What if I just make it full screen? Is that any better? We're going to see in a second. Okay, that's a little bit better, actually. So I think I'm going to keep it like this. Hi, Hugo. Hi, Bexa. So yeah, interesting how players still fail to draw blocking tiles or defense tiles. So the fate of this city is still in limbo. Green was trying to find a new city and some scoring opportunities for himself, but red immediately broke it with this quadruple city tile. But still a great tile for Meme9. He can possibly go over here and renew the threat of completing the city, or he can just give up on it and simply start scoring points. And I would probably prefer the latter route if I were the Chinese player, because really getting this meeple back is not that important. It's important to just block this city and then stay ahead on the scoreboard, and that should be enough to win this game. From Krishna's perspective, he either has to draw the tile that allows him to complete the city soon enough, or maybe there's also another route, like if he can finish his monastery soon enough, if he can maybe overtake the farm that Meme has over here. We're going to see in a second. So Meme is going the scoring route, and now interesting decision here for Krishna. So he's behind, but he needs to decide, is it important for him to bank on the city? And he decides to not defend it. So I wonder if that's a conscious choice, or is just me miscounting the tiles? No, I don't think so. I just double checked, and there's still indeed a tile that fits over here. So red chose not to go over here and not to defend this city. I wonder why. Maybe he figured that a 50-50 chance is not good enough. Although I really like the 50-50 chance, but maybe he decided that by going over here, he's creating another threat of completing an even bigger city. So he can basically afford to sacrifice this meeple for the purpose of finishing a bigger city. And it looks like it's working so far. He managed to cover it up, but Meme9 is trying to block his city yet again. There are still 3 tiles, and that's a lot of tiles. Okay, 2 tiles actually that fit into this square. Green has created a platform to block Red's city. This city would also be like 24 points. It's going to be really, really big. And if Red manages to complete it, he's also going to draw a farmer for 9 points. The Chinese player does not get a blocking tile. The Latvian does not get a defense tile just yet. So again, the fate of this city is also in limbo. This city has been successfully blocked. So it will be quite emotionally painful if Red draws the dagger, which she could have used over here. So Meme9 is now thinking where to place this crossroad tiles. I am going to check on other players in a second, just to simply open those other tables, because I also need to check that the games have started properly. That would be my delayed captaining duty. Okay, there we go. Silent Monk versus Phosphate has also started, but they are playing in with the wrong settings for some reason, but that's okay. So did Zone 222 start? Yes, also started. Zone 222 against QAZ. And that game's already halfway through. Very equal position. I think this one we got also is going to be a table of interest. Only Denver versus Metao Cat. Well, this is where the Chinese player is doing really, really well. But, oh, look at this. The Latvian has a really, really big city over here. And Aphrodite versus Tomato Can should be starting soon as well. And yes, it has started 12 minutes ago. And this one's actually very, very even too, where the Latvian has an advantage on the scoreboard against the high-rated Chinese player. So a lot of interesting things to see, but we're going to get back to Krishna, and very, very unfortunate outcome for the Latvian, as the final dagger has been drawn by Meme9, and despite the fact that Red was able to finish his monastery and drop a farmer and draw the one tile that suits him for indirect defense, Meme9 drew the one tile, and the one tile only that was available for him to fully block this square. So quite unfortunate turn of events, but still I think some chances for the play with the red meeples here. Is behind 14 points on the scoreboard, but his ruin's going to be scoring a lot. So all we gotta do is maybe get some quick points with a tile like this. Again, unfortunate that these points are going to the Chinese player. And then maybe we can draw some city caps. Okay, this has to be a mistake here from Green, protecting the city, whilst he could have just simply taken 3 points. So let's see what he does next. Presumably he would be interested in maybe harassing Krishna's city a little bit. There's still one vanilla city cap that fits into this square. And actually, there's really only one city cap that fits into the square at all. So really preserving the 50-50 chance of completing this city in a situation where Green was ahead was completely unnecessary. And this is used by Kristen to his advantage, because Green did not take 3 points at the top over here. Red was the one to take the 3 points. Let's see if that makes any difference. That's a 6-point swing. And now from Red's perspective, really all we gotta do is just draw the vanilla city cap. Well, you know, also the starting tile would have helped. We can see how Meme9 not only completes the city with a starting tile, but he also gets 3 points for the road, and this should really make it pretty much impossible for us to win. So we do win the coin flip, which makes this defense moot. So this meeple is blocked, but we simply don't have enough stuff on the scoreboard, it seems. Minus 14, we do have lovely, lovely ruins, but the Chinese player has these monasteries over here, a bit of ruins here, and a farmer. And there's really not enough. Not only there's not enough time to come back, this board is fairly dry. There are just not a lot of scoring opportunities. So, okay, so it appears that the Chinese player is making some mistakes, but I don't think they will make it possible for him to win the game. So what Green should have done is simply have gone over here and trying to take a 6-point field. Krishna, of course, is going to go at the top and take a 6-point farm himself. Unless there's merit in going over here, which I don't think there is, because we're running really short on city caps. In fact, I think there are no city caps remaining at all. Or am I miscounting again? I don't think I am. I don't really fully understand this move. So as Kristen, what I would have preferred is simply meepling a 6-point field, really. Because now Meme 9 is going to meeple this 6-point field. Unless they're willing to go over here, perhaps, and try to block this city. But then again, why block this city if it is already blocked? So there's not a single city cap remaining in the deck if my counting is correct. And I'm pretty sure it is in this instance. And this move over here appears to be hoping for a set of parallel city caps, but those have also been gone. Yeah, Kristen now, of course, is going to go over here, take a 6-point field. That's the high scoring move that he can make. A city tile for Meme 9, a variety of ways to score 4 points, or really only one. He just needs to go over here, I guess. Yeah, or at the top, that, oh, no, there was a 6-point farmer, of course, kind of forgot about that. And as a result, another point for Team China. Oh, gotcha, Hugo. So when I do sometimes exit the full screen mode to check other tables. So I guess then we won't be seeing the score for a short amount of time. But I'll be making sure to go back into full screen mode as soon as possible. So the difference is actually not that great even. Kristen is only going to lose it by a few points, around 10 points or so, or 11 points in this case. Which means that had only he finished this city, then the game would have totally worked for him. Which now makes me think that this move over here was actually a brilliant move. Because there were still a large number of combination of tiles to complete this city. It was quite unfortunate that green got the block on time. And with this completed city, red would have probably won by 10 points instead of losing by 10 points. So a rather close game goes up the Chinese player's way. But we're going to be still trying to come back. Alrighty, now time to update the scoreboard a little bit. This is something that I haven't done in a year, because I've now so used to streaming Carcassonne Champions League matches where there's only one duel at a time, as opposed to all these parallel duels. So we will be following up this table shortly, actually. Let's have a look at how Napalm Egg is faring against Dr. Taihan, and it looks like it's also not going great for Team Latvia, because the Chinese player here has 3 monasteries and 14 extra points on the scoreboard. Blue, on the other hand, is doing okay with fields, but the main field in the game is tied, and in fact, red has more farmers. I'm not sure how it came to be. Well, at least an extra farmer for 3 points is what we're going to see from Napalm Eye. So there's several ways of scoring 4 points. He could go here and drop a farmer. That would be one way, the more stylish way. He could also take this 4-point road. So the main field of the game is here. It is shared between this 1 blue meeple and 1 red meeple for 12 points. And it looks like having these 2 city meeples blocked, that's what hurt blue. Also, not finishing this city on the left did not quite help. And yeah, it looks like we're taking another L here. So all is not lost. Napalm Eye is fully capable of winning 2 games in a row against pretty much anybody. But this one's going to finish with quite a massive score difference, just because all of these extra monasteries by red add up. Red even has more fields by virtue of this quite efficient 9-point farmer on the right. And 22 points is the difference. So another L. Okay, when is Latvia going to finally start winning? I hope that is gonna happen soon enough. So let's see how they're doing on this table. And here also we're taking another L. As you can see, Phosphate defeated Silent Monk by just 5 points. So how was the situation? Yeah, it appears that it's the field control that helped the Chinese player win here, because look at these two green farmers. And Red was trying to score a lot, going for an imbalance, but did not score quite enough. Also, I'm gonna need to help my teammates with the settings a little bit. Alrighty. Now, this should be interesting, as maybe we're getting ourselves a first Latvian victory, because Zone 222 is now playing against the 2023 World Championship semi-finalist Sang Yu Chin, and he's 5 points ahead at the very least on the scoreboard, but I see that there are a lot of red farmers on the field. So let's check that. So first of all, this 6-point field by green and this 6-point field by red, they cancel each other out. But red has the main field control, at least for now. So look at these 3 red farmers over here and only 2 green farmers here. Green is sort of trying to invade through several places, including this spot over here. But is there even a curve remaining? I'm going to see in a second. Well, Zone 222 does not get a curve. He simply picks up an empty ruin. Yeah, and sadly, so there wasn't this invasion available, and there wasn't this invasion available either. So both of these farmers who are trying to overtake the field will end up being stranded. And despite the scoreboard lead that the Latvian had all the time, I believe that red is going to have this by a few points just because the main field is too good. It is 18 points. Whilst green has only 3 points for this farmer and 0 points for that one. So another L. But that's okay. I know that my teammates have enough grit to try and mount all these comebacks. Okay, finally, there we go. So only Denver gets Latvia on the board. No, yes, by defeating Metal Cat. Also a very strong player, so that's very nice. And I was actually quite worried about this table because only Denver really has not played in a long time, so I thought they could be in rough shape. But apparently that huge ruin somehow ended up mattering a lot, and it outscored all the other features, all the fields in the game. And this ruin over here, what was like around 20 points, and that was enough for the Latvian to withstand everything. Yeah, ruins are very often underestimated, and in the final table, Aphrodite 3-3 does end up losing to Tomato Ken. Let's see if it had anything to do with fields, and it appears to be the case, because we can see this red meeple that did not quite make it into the farm in time. And also this little farm of 6 points, because of this blocked square, was actually separated from the largest farm in the game. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, so it was 21 points, and with these 2 green meeples, green was able to take control of the game and then just drop some insurance farmers, build barricades around it, and again, just show the importance of fields. So this is how the first round of games finished. We're just going to update the scoreboard real quick and then move on to the second round of games. So 1-6 after the first round. But still, anything can happen. So let's go back to Napalm versus Dr. Taihan. And then we're going to try and follow this one a bit more closely. So 51 tiles remaining in that one. And points are yet to be scored. And this one actually is looking to be a good position for the Latvian. So what are we having? There's some blocked meeples here. So this guy's blocked, but also this guy's blocked. This road is not looking really good, but there is a red meeple and a green meeple, and a blue meeple on it, so it sort of cancels it out. And now red is going to get himself a second meeple blocked. So this city by red was already vulnerable as it is, with only 2 tiles remaining to fit into the square, but I'm pretty sure that blue is going to complete the block, and he also chooses to get himself an early farmer, which makes actually a lot of sense. I maybe would have delayed the farmer a little bit, but it will indubitably is going to be worth the investment. Just because there are so many green squares for the development of that field, that this field will be quite difficult to restrict. So this is a great position for blue, despite red being ahead on the scoreboard. That extra meeple count should really make a difference in this game if blue knows how to use it, and I'm pretty sure that Giannis does know how to play fields. So the way you win this by blue, you finish this road just to get a meeple back. You make sure to get a curve here. That's actually pretty important, because you know what? So this road meeple is blocked on this square together with this red city, right? But red can still save his road meeple by getting a crossroads here and then getting a crossroads somewhere here, finishing himself a 4-point road. So Napalm needs to make sure that red cannot separate his road from the blocked road of blue. So at some point, as blue, we will need to invest a curve over here to tie this unblocked red meeple to the blocked meeple of blue. Of course, not something that we can do with the crossroads, so blue simply develops his road, preparing to finish it and get his 4 points. Dr. Taihan is starting a new city, quite wisely away from the field of blue. Probably going to go over here. That will be the standard move in this position, simply starting a new city, taking out the city cap, and this has to be a mistake. I'm really surprised to see this move from the Doctor, and I wonder what the purpose of this move is. Well, I mean, I see what the purpose of this move is. It is just taking a point for the road and also not allowing some blocking scenarios against this road meeple. But the problem is that we give blue this lovely city, which they now do complete. So blue is now actually doing great. They're going to get finally on their scoreboard. They're going to get their 6 points. They're thinking whether it's worth dropping a farmer. And my answer would be no. I think it's a bit too impatient. Just because there are going to be other farming opportunities later, and the way we want to win with a long-term meeple advantage, we want to enjoy that meeple advantage for longer. We want to use it for building cities, for building monasteries, all kind of stuff like this. So note that all 6 monasteries are still in the deck. And monasteries, by the way, would be one way for Dr. Taihan to come back into this game. Even though they're down severely on meeples, they are having enough meeples to try and build some features and then get some meeples back. And these could be monastery clusters. Even though this map is actually quite horrible for monasteries, the best monastery spot is like 4 points. This is probably the best monastery spot on the board. This does not mean that it's going to stay the case forever. Now, very sadly, blue with a mistake. So this move, not necessarily bad, but it just doesn't accomplish much. What blue should have done is gone over here, expanded his field, prolonged his road, and so on and so on, but that's all right. As blue gets a curve anyway, We get to finish our road, and most importantly, we get to connect all the fields. And this move over here, I think, was a strategic mistake from the Chinese player. We can also see from their rating that they're a bit in rough shape. Of course, 611 is great, but there was a time when they were rated over 800. There was a long time when they were rated over 700 and so on. So the reason why it is a strategic misjudgment from Red is because they're at a meeple disadvantage. And if you're at a long-term meeple disadvantage because of this, right, then what they need to do is keep the position as close as possible so that these extra meeples that blue has, that they match her less. But this move, what it made instead, it actually allowed for a big field fight. And so what blue is going to do, blue is going to go over here, connect these two farmers, then blue is going to take the city cap, and then go over here and unite all the fields and create a bigger field and use this field to bully his opponent. Because he has the meeple to do so. He's now trying to build up his field a little bit. And as the doctor, it gives us a very interesting opportunity. So let's see if he goes for it. He could make a normal move like going over here, starting a city, maybe preparing to get a city cap and drop a farmer, you know, the biggest threat in Carcassonne and so on. If that were to happen, he will be likely to complete the 8-point city, but blue can always go over here and at the very least make it a bit harder to complete that city, and also to make sure that red cannot drop a farmer upon the completion of that city. But there's another really interesting move. He could go over here and point this road like this. This would try to go for an even bigger city, 10 or 12 points. This would pose a bit of a risk to that city in terms of getting blocked. But it would also make sure that all the fields stay separate, which is something that is in red interest. Red decides to go for the more traditional move. And blue gets a monastery. Now it's very interesting to see what he's going to do. So there's a 5-point monastery spot over here, but I'm not sure if that is exactly worth it. If anything, I don't think it's really worth it. I think this is one of those games where we have to use a monastery as a field tile. So how exactly do we do this? Yeah, that makes sense. What this move is trying to do is simply to create an additional attacking platform against Red City. And red does not get a tile to defend. He does, however, gets a road monastery, which he simply uses as a scoring tile, because he really cannot be spending his last meeple on monasteries. And now a great tile for Napalm Eye, although a variety of good uses. It's very interesting. So first of all, super tempting to go here and just score 7 points, 4 for the city and 3 for the field. We could also invade this city, or maybe we could even go like this, start a new city and also start blocking Red City as well. Now normally okay, that's also fine. Yeah, this invasion is also fine. He goes for the low variance approach, and the goal, of course, is to get a Dorito tile and finish a shared city, get both parties a meeple back, and develop this field at the north. But as a result of this move, yep, exactly, Dr. Taihan now has the platform to separate all the fields. And with that, this farmer at the top, although it's still great, it's not as devastating as it could potentially have been, because all the fields are not going to unite, so this guy's going to stay at 9 points, maybe 12 points. Yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe even fewer points if this square gets blocked somehow. So probably as Doctor, you're looking to go over here and try to limit the number of tiles that blue can use for this connection. Instead, he also makes another reasonable move. He tries to restrict the city cap, not allowing Napalm Eye easy scoring opportunities. So for example, now a vanilla city cap, of which there's still 2 in the deck, does not go here anymore. But blue has another interesting use for a vanilla city cap. He could either go over here with a vanilla city cap, still in an attempt to try and connect all the fields. Because technically if we go here and here, then all the fields are going to be connected that way, and this is something that's in blue's interest. Or blue could use the fact that there's still 4 triple city tiles available and maybe get a vanilla city cap and go over here and try to overtake this city. Instead, blue draws a crossroads simply for scoring. Red gets himself a double city cap tile and has an interesting decision. Do we make a normal move, which we do, just finishing a city, getting a meeple back, getting the scoreboard lead? The alternative was going over here, placing the last meeple on the city cap and trying to attack the city with a second meeple, hoping to get more points. But again, a lower variance approach seems to be the choice of both players in this instance, or in the entirety of this game. Nobody wants to take big risks. Players are keeping it small ball, which always favors the side which has the meeple minority. Blue decides to start blocking that square, and this is actually quite interesting. I'm not sure how much I like that. I guess blocking that square would be more in red's interest. There's still one tile that goes over here. So I guess with this move, blue was trying to prevent the worst case scenario. The worst case scenario would be this square getting blocked and this farmer getting stranded, whilst this guy would penetrate the higher scoring field of blue. In the meantime, a couple of strategically important draws for red. First of all, red goes for the city invasion idea that Napalm might have had. Now Napalm, of course, quite fortunately draws one of the triple city tiles that fit here, so there are now only 3 of those remaining. Of course, there's also the quadruple city tile that goes here, but if red draws it, this will give back 2 re-attacking platforms for blue, so a quadruple city is not as damaging for blue as a triple city. Red also drew a crossroad tile that actually gives him the chance of saving this meeple, and that is huge. On the other hand, we are kind of running short on crossroad tiles. In fact, there's only 3 of those remaining. So it is not inconceivable that blue could just draw all of those tiles, or maybe blue could do something like this with the curve and start blocking. So blue takes 2 quick points in a rather smart way because it also protects the square. There are 2 tiles that allow a vanilla city cap over here, and this would connect the lower scoring 3-point field of blue with the highest scoring 6-point field of red. And it would even preserve the threat of drawing the crossroads city tile here that would unify all the fields. And now that tile is finally drawn. It is so interesting. Is he gonna go over here? Is he actually going to try and go for a big field? And no, he does not go for it. He simply chooses to take 2 points and develop his field at the top. So now we know that no huge field is going to happen. But the field at the top is already scoring 9 points, and it is likely to score even more points. And geometrically, it is a very favorable field for us. Hi, Krish. Well, that was fast. So Krishna already lost 2-0. I also got a message from Egita Applegee that she lost 1-2. So not great is the Latvian situation on the match scoreboard so far, which I'm going to update soon, but not now, as this game is way, way, way too interesting. So Napalm gets another triple city tile, which is great. He can go over here and limits the number of tiles that fit into the square. Do we meeple this? Yeah, so this is the secure thing to do. Meepling this city and getting the majority in this mini battle. This is actually looking really good for Napalm. Just because these quick points on his field really amounts into a lot, but the doctor is right back at him because he placed a meeple on this extender tile a few moves earlier, and he's still waiting patiently for a city cap to get himself 8 points and a meeple back. Giannis is trying to block, or at least to create a blocking platform. That's about as good of a use for this Dorito that he can come up with. There was also a chance to use this Dorito over here just for scoring, but it's not that important given the fact that the quadruple tile is yet to be drawn. So in the long term, this city could be unified. All these cities could be unified. One thing with this tile that I would have liked is maybe going over here and, in addition to scoring 2 points, prevent future field attacks. This is something that Napalm can do now, but instead he tries to develop his field even further. I wonder if that's worth doing at all. I think that's a little bit extra, but that's okay. Napalm is down on the scoreboard again as Dr. Taihan finishes the city for 8 points at the bottom, gets himself a meeple back, but Blue still has the field control. Blue is still a couple of points ahead. Blue has the longer road. But now this city over here, that's a very interesting situation because Blue did not place... Whoa. I think Blue is playing maybe extra cautiously a little bit. So Blue is playing as if he's ahead by a lot. So the point of this move by Blue was to deny the Doctor a scoring opportunity. Because you see how unfortunate it is. Because Red didn't have any meeples, Blue decided to simply create the threat of an 8-point city. Because Blue is the only side with a meeple, so Blue is the only side that can occupy that city. But now that Red has got a meeple back, now there's the threat of Red taking that city. So Blue decided to sacrifice points and even sacrifice the integrity of his field a little bit to simply eliminate the scoring opportunity. But then the question is he even ahead by enough in order to do that? So let's see. So he has 12 points on the field, 9 here and 3 here, versus 6 by Red. So he has 6 extra points on the farms. He has 1 fewer points in these cities. He has 2 extra points for his road because his road is 5 points as opposed to Red's 3-point road. But he has 2 fewer points in this mini battle because Red has 5 points for the city on the left and Red has 3. And on top of this, Red has 4 points for this city over here. So -4. So it's like +8, -7. So it's only +1. So Napalm is ahead 3 points at the moment. Only 3 points. This is so interesting. And really, this could go either way, this game. Dr. Taihan takes the ruin. And he decides to take the 6 points. And now this puts the Doctor ahead. And the reason why he's happy spending his last meeple is because he can still get the crossroads to get another meeple back. But now Napalm can do a lot of good things. So he can just go over here and drop a city cap in his field and try to score 7 points in the future. Or he could simply go over here and occupy a 6-point field, which would put him to +3. He goes and does... Okay. He pre-builds a big city, an 8-point city, which makes a lot of sense. Now the Doctor has a bit of a decision to make. He can either get himself a point, or he could go over here and take out this city. But if you take out that city, then you're leaving back a 9-point field up for grabs for your opponent. I'm not sure if there's a win available for the Doctor at all. Yeah, so he goes for the blocking move. And now Napalm gets the best tile. Not only does he get to score 2 points, but he also gets to deny that guy a meeple back. Not that it really mattered with only 1 tile remaining. So if we just take 2 points now, it should put us at -1. And then with our last meeple, we either take this field, or we could take this field right now to be safe. So it really depends a lot on what kind of tiles are remaining in the deck. And I wasn't as quick to calculate this as some of the players are. I know that the endgame skills of Napalm are definitely solid. He's in good shape about this. He managed to solve a tricky endgame of 2 tiles remaining against who that was. That wasn't Bakshay. One of the Thai players, I believe. No, not the Thai, but Taiwanese players in the Carcassonne Champions League. Yep, there we go. So precise calculation for Napalm, figuring out that it was possible for him to meeple the field pretty much no matter what. He gets 2 points for the road, 6 points for the field, and 1-1 is the score in this duel. So Latvia still has some chances in this match. We're going to see what the score difference is precisely. I think it should be something like +4 for blue. So even though red managed to accomplish what he wants in terms of keeping the position closed, blue managed to score just enough with his quick points to stay on top of this. 3 points for that first farmer, but a lot more points for those other farmers. And look at this, +4 is in fact the difference. 9 points for the farmer is the highest scoring feature on the board. And look how close this position was. Not only it is the highest scoring feature on the board, but this 9-point field. This 9-point field was the highest scoring feature amongst all the features that were scored in this game. Even there isn't even a city bigger than 8 points. Like, this is how close this position was. This is a type of position that Giannis absolutely loves. Well, I'm not sure if he loves it, but he plays it all the time. And in this case, it works. Let's see if that is going to work in the decider. But before that, some score updates. So we get news that Krishna lost 2-0. Apple G managed to get 1 game back against Aki's Stag, but the decider didn't quite go her way. Napalm has just equalized. Now, how are we doing in those other matches? In Phosphate against Silent Monk, we're going to have a decider, which is pretty interesting. So, as you can see, Silent Monk did defeat Phosphate with a 5-point difference to compensate for the 5-point difference the other way in the first game. What about QAZ? Oh, and look at this, and these guys are also playing the decider, so that would be interesting to watch as well, if we can. And how is our Only Denver doing against Metal Cat? And these are also playing a decider as well. Okay, so this actually appears to be really tight. The only other remaining matchup that we need to check is Aphrodite against Tomato Ken. And this one goes the Chinese player's way, so 2-0. So China has already 3 big points, so all we need to do really as Team Latvia is just win all of the 4 deciders. It's really not that difficult. Just 4 games, 4 wins. All right, let's go. I think I want to stick with Giannis probably. And then I'll try to give my other teammates more attention in future streams. I can still change my mind. So if there is a particular player whom you want to watch, then do let me know. But there is definitely a lot of merit in being able to see the game from start to finish, and the other deciders have already started. Well, this one has also started, but nothing much has happened. So the Chinese player has scored 4 points. They have the first monastery. Actually, it looks pretty good for red here, but blue gets a splitter, which is a lovely tile for us, gets 4 points, equalized on the scoreboard. Now, suddenly, this city has a bit of potential. So, only a slight advantage for the player with the red meeples, mainly due to the monastery. Red builds up his city at the bottom. Blue is going to continue his city at the top, so players exchange standard moves. This here area is mildly vulnerable, as it is possible for blue to get a big tile plus a road combo to block the square. Something that the doctor will need to watch out for. A starting tile for red, probably looking forward to completing his city on the left. I doubt if there is anything interesting other than that. Could also start a city next to his monastery, actually, but it really breaks the integrity of the structure a little bit. Yeah, I really like this move here by red. Even though you want to abide by the principle of multiple cities for efficient building, on this particular board, there's really no good place to start a new city. Maybe this was a move, actually, for red. Starting a city like this and putting pressure on this square. That was an option. But maybe, having that psychological advantage of the 4 extra points on the board is certainly a desirable thing, or so red decided. Blue, not finishing his city at the top, but trying to run away with a 10 or 12 point city on the right. And I think the reason for that is that he recognized that this square was vulnerable. It was possible for red to draw a triple city and go over here and block this square in the future, so blue wants to take care of the safety of this meeple first, and then also threaten the completion of the city. And it appears to work out because the doctor does not draw a good tile to play against this square. And actually, that's an awkward tile to be playing in the first place, because he could go over here, right, for 3 points, which is his highest scoring move. But instead, he finds a better move. Yep, there we go. That's just lovely. So it pre-builds a 3-point road with a straight line. And it also does not give back an easy road end for here. Because if red were to go over here and score the 3 points, he would be giving back this easy meeple recovery for blue, not something that he wants to do. On top of this, this move over here made it much easier for red to potentially attack the blue's city, which is why blue promptly completed it, reclaiming the lead on the scoreboard. But the last starting tile has been drawn by red, and it was used to equalize this city. So no 12-point city for Napalm Eye. Instead, just a straight line, which he can quite easily go and use over here. Exactly, he recognized it's a really powerful block, extremely annoying to deal with. And the doctor does not get a good tile to defend, so I wonder, what do you even do here? He decides to go for the scoring. Maybe going over here was also an option, trying to go for a longer road. Giannis gets a 6-point monastery. By far the best spot on the board. And now the doctor gets a curve. And this will show you the full venom of this move. It looks like the curve goes here, right? No, it doesn't. Because if you put the curve over here, then you're opening yourself up to even more blocks. Blue then can go over here and restrict the square toward the starting tile, but all of the 4 starting tiles are already on the board. So there's just no good move for red here. I think what red wants to do is get a city tile first, and then wait for the road monastery. I think this is the way how we get out of the situation. Another way, we just go here and hope that our opponent does not get a blocking tile. Yeah, and you see, he chooses not to go here, because if he were to go here, then blue would, with no problem, sacrifice the monastery tile just to block 2 of red's meeples. So super sensitive square, position overall looking very good for the Latvian. Now blue gets his cluster up, but red gets the Dorito tile and he gets to bail out. So the move here it's a very easy decision for red. You just go over here and you save one meeple, and you have a 50-50 chance of saving the other meeple. So it's very simple. And he finds it. Napalm with a scoring tile. Looking to get... Actually, this is not obvious what he's looking to do. Well, he could score 3 points here, but that would mess with his road meeple a little bit. He could go here and pre-finish his road. He could also go here and score 3 points, but that would mess with his monasteries a lot. So if we're looking pure scoring, then the most aggressive move is to actually not to take quick points, but go over here and pre-build a 5-point road. Instead, he goes for a city attack, which actually also makes some sense. I mean, I wouldn't do it because I just love scoring so much, but it might as well work out. Red gets himself a scoring move for 3 points, also restricting the potential of Blue's road. Blue, with a straight line, he was going to go over here, of course, and meeple this long road, but it ain't gonna happen. So instead, what you can do as Blue is just, I guess, go here, start a new road. There are still plenty of road ends for this to be justified. You could still go here as well and actually start this road. Or you could rejoice in the fact that you drew another straight line, and this means that red will be having his meeple trapped for a little bit longer. Instead, Blue chooses to build up his monastery a little bit imprecisely. If you're gonna spend this tile on the monastery, it's actually better to place it 1 square lower. The reason for that is that if red goes over here, or if blue goes over here for that matter, because somebody's going to draw a curve, somebody's going to score these 4 points, this will make this here square a bit more vulnerable. Dr. Taihan with a city triple tile, looking to probably go over here and make it harder for yellow. Why do I say yellow? Why do I keep doing this, man? Blue. I meant blue. I have no idea why. Like, do we have like a cognitive psychologist or something like this? Why does this keep happening? Blue, who's playing against red. Red is making it harder for blue to connect to this city. If he goes over here, and this is exactly what happens. Blue with a monastery tile looking to occupy this 5-point spot, the lovely, lovely spot here. And with that, it actually doesn't even matter if red finishes the city soon, which he does. Yeah, sure, that's like 12 points on the scoreboard immediately, but these monasteries for blue are going to score more. But then after this, what we really have to be sad about as blue is that we just wasted a tile and it ended up not doing us much. So at the start of the game, I really don't like spending scoring tiles on not even blocking, but just creating the threats of blocks. It just appears to be a bit too slow. So let's see if these sacrificed 3 points end up making a difference. It's still a good position for blue, which I'm pretty sure he recognizes. The best move that I see here, though, is quite counterintuitive, and I'm not sure if blue is going to find it. The best move that I see is just going over here, starting a new city, and then either trying to go over here and gamble for this. Oh man, don't leave tiles empty when you have 3 meeples. I really have to bring this into practice. Like, this always comes with a meeple, and the point is, you're not always trying to invade if you do this. Sometimes you just use this as a way to get yourself 2 city caps and an 8-point city. But you really, really don't want to leave this tile for your opponent, because the doctor is now going to grab it. Grab it with avarice. And now look what happened. I mean, we get a fantastic tile, of course. We get to finish our monastery, start a new field, and this is exactly what Giannis is going to do. But it's really unfortunate to just give away shields to our opponent like this. So that's okay, some imprecisions, and also the doctor is getting some pretty good draws. He gets his coin flip for the monastery. Now this position still looks okay. But with this here city, I'm going to even say that the Chinese player has a slight advantage. Now I want to go here, of course, just to score the points. It's also possible, you know what? It's not crazy to go here and drop a farmer, actually. He goes for the points, which is great. It also expands the farming potential. It makes the monastery slightly more vulnerable, and we're going to see that in a second, I believe. Or rather, as the doctor, do you just want to go here and clean off the city cap of Napalm? I think this looks a little bit stronger. Let's see what the doctor decides. I can see farm with an exclamation mark from Elias in the chat. Yeah, so I believe if Napalm gets the curve again, then he is going to go over here and drop a farmer. And this would be just a multi-purpose move. It will be putting pressure against this monastery. So the doctor gets to block. It's not something that we should be concerned for Napalm, because there's still 3 tiles that fit into the square. And in fact, it's actually really helpful to have a tile like this next to your monastery, because the point is, so blue's now going to go over here, start a new city, I presume. That's an option. Or maybe here to score points. Or maybe here to block. Or maybe here to score points and block. You know, there are a lot of options. Let's see how Giannis navigates the situation. But having a Dorito like this is a really good thing to have next to your monastery, because if red does not follow this up, then what's blue going to do? Blue going to go here at some point. Then blue is going to get a tile that goes here and start a new city whilst also completing this monastery. Well, anyway, so Giannis chooses to start blocking the city. I actually like this decision, although I think it's a bit imprecise. It was a bit better to turn it with the city tile the other way, because you see what now, like with the road pointing to the right and the city side facing down, because you see what's happening now. The doctor is going to go over here and he's going to cover up his city on one side. If blue were to turn this tile the other way with the tail pointing to the right, then red would not have been able to continue his city without exposing a threat of a block. So yeah, like whenever you add a triple city tile to your opponent's city with the purpose of delaying it or blocking it, you really need to take extra care about the orientation of said tile. Because this here situation is just great for red. There are 3 tiles that fit here, so that translates to a more than 88% chance of completing it. And it's actually not that easy to block, because if we do this, then our opponent gets an easy defense tile. Or maybe not. I'm not sure if I like this move by the doctor. In fact, I don't. So he chooses to save the monastery meeple. But I think it was stronger to sacrifice the monastery meeple and to go over here and to build a road through this unfinished city. Because you know what now could happen? Giannis can get a straight line, take 5 points, 5 beautiful points for the road, and block the square. This is still a great position for the Chinese player, even with the blocked city, just because red managed to finish his road a few moves earlier and drop a farmer here, and this should be really annoying for us, because this farmer is already scoring 6 points. It will score more once these cities are unified. There's also an extra city cap to score more, and it's actually quite difficult for us to invade this farm. So Napalm really gotta pull himself together now. He makes actually a really strong move, an unbelievably strong move if you ask me. And the point of that move is that it, how do you say this? It blocks the square for the blocking square. No, basically the point is, Napalm is threatening to get a straight line, right? And with something like this, red could have gone over here and restricted the square, not allowing blue to get a straight line and score these 5 points. And so blue decided to make it harder for red to restrict this square, because blue wants to get the straight line, score 5 points, and block this square. So that was a brilliant, brilliant move here by Giannis, who also now gets himself a cow tile, which is pretty good for us, because now there's only one tile remaining that fits into this square. Oh, yeah, that is painful. So the doctor gets the dagger tile right before Giannis gets a straight line and tries to block it. And I think it will be just unbelievably difficult to come back into this game. Again, you could say that this is unfortunate, which it is. Like in this configuration, Nepamai was actually the statistical favor to complete the block before the doctor completes the city. But we don't get to complain about this, because all of this stuff is the consequences of rotating this tile the wrong way. This tile should have been put with the tail going to the right for a greater blocking probability. So we just have to acknowledge our mistakes and simply go through the game in team practice. So another dagger for Napalm, and actually that's something. Also a really great move from blue here, because he's trying to set up another monastery to finish his monastery with. Oh, that is fun. So blue, first of all, not goes for this city, but goes for this city instead, because he's trying to create the biggest threat in Carcassonne. We finish the city with a city cap, we drop a farmer, and then we try to get another dagger to finish our monastery, and then to connect this guy, and so on and so on and so on. So that's actually really, really smart. Yeah, so one thing how Giannis has improved his game a lot is that he started to fight back harder when he's behind. Okay, maybe a year ago what he used to do, and what was my main criticism to him, is that he would maybe like lose the game by 10 points or so, and then he would just like keep making normal moves until the end. But then he has really improved his rating and consistency after he started to press harder and take harder risks when he's behind, and he's doing it now. It's not helping, but he's doing it. The doctor finishes yet another city. Nepamai is going to finish a monastery and start a new monastery, which he should do. He might be reluctant to do it because he doesn't want to let this farmer into the field, but this farmer is coming into the field one way or another. Yeah, I would have done it. Like, I don't think blue simply has the luxury of ignoring this, because you know what? Like, what could happen is that red's gonna go here and connect to the farm through here, and this farmer is going to end up, and this monastery is going to end up incomplete. So what I would have done if I were blue, I would have gone over here, allowed red the connection to my field, and then simply try to reinvade the field later. But blue chose what he chose. High Sparkle Horsey. And then we're going to try and maybe start looking at how the other games are going, just because this is really, really not going good for blue. So I am afraid a little bit that I don't think there's that much that we can do to influence the fates of this game. Although it's always fun to watch people try. Yeah, one thing that I've noticed, for example, is that there are no monasteries and there are also no city caps available, the vanilla city caps. So there's nothing that goes into this square, and there's nothing that goes into this square. So the only way this guy can connect into the field is, I guess, through this square. Nepamai. With a scoring tile, but not enough meeples to take advantage of it. Maybe at this point, it's not crazy to try and go here and go for an 8-point city. What we need to get, though, is the final dagger to finish our 6-point city, and also to deny red the entry into our field through here. $33.66. We need to make that radical effort. And it seems to me that there's a sufficient number of city caps to try. So for example, let's say we go here, our opponent gets a straight line, of which there's still a few remaining. They go over here, try to block us, and then we get the last remaining city cap with the crossroads. Then we get these 8 points. Our opponent gets a straight line, and then they can't do anything with this. And then we get a curve, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, still plenty of those. And then we go here and we meeple a 9-point field here. And then we get a dagger and finish our city. And actually, if this sequence were to happen, I believe it is still winnable for blue. Well, I see the points of this move, but it doesn't work. The idea of this move is to find a sequence of tiles that allows us to finish this city and this city as well, but what'd that tell you? What'd that tell you? We could have gone over here and we could have finished an 8-point city. 8 points! 8 points! Oh, that's painful. So the point of this move, it also made a lot of sense. The idea is that we first draw the dagger, and then we get this tile. So we get all the extra points, but the problem is if we draw it in the wrong order, which we did, then if we were to go over here and take 4 points here, and then we were to hope for the dagger later, then our opponents can go over here like this and farm, and then connect to our farm through our completed city, and it's not something that we can allow. So as a result, Napalm Eye needs to, well, do what he did, which is just scoring 4 points, but 4 is less than 8. So I just praised him for starting to risk more when he's behind, but he should have risked harder. Harder! This cannot, like, I can see how it could sound bad out of context if I just, like, in my team practice, just go, try harder, try harder! No, I'm not like this. In the meantime, we get some positive news. Only Denver has defeated Metal Cat 2-1 in his decider. So technically, the dream is still alive. Zone 222 has lost his decider, which also makes the China official winner of this match. If honestly, I'm kind of happy that he even took one game away from his opponent. Yeah, there we go. We have self-evident in the chat again. So congratulations on your win. Sadly, we won't able to see much of it as I've been prioritizing the doctor's duel. Alrighty. We will update the scoreboard a bit later. So if anybody is just joining, then it will seem to them that the fate of this match has not yet been decided. Napalm Eye with a straight line and no obvious place to use it. Like, what do you even do? I know. So we need to set up some field magic. Yeah, that's one way to do it. I guess he's trying to maybe invade through here, perhaps? I would have preferred perhaps going over here and try to invade like this at the bottom. But Giannis has better awareness of the remaining tiles than I have. There should be a couple of curves still remaining. And look at red. He's not looking for a victory. He's looking for the infliction of emotional damage. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's still a tile that fits into the square. And actually, it's still possible for him to take the quadruple city tile, the one last remaining dagger, and finish his city. Well, that would be a spectacular finish, which I hope doesn't happen. I mean, I hope it happens when it's not my teammate who's the victim, and at the very least, he's not going to be finishing his city. He gets himself a curve, normal curve to score a farm, I presume. Actually, the move is just to go here and drop a farmer in such a way that would prevent the completion of this city. There's still a dagger tile that would allow the completion of said city. And I don't think there are any other city caps remaining. Oh, you know how we could win? Time. 70 seconds for the doctor. I'm pretty sure that it's not difficult for him to make a decision in such amount of time. As a doctor, he does have a lot of experience performing under pressure. This once included winning a game despite a power outage in his neighborhood. That was a few years ago in the 2021 World Team Carcassonne Online... No, 2022 World Team Carcassonne Championship, I believe. And look at this. Yeah, very precise play. Well, actually, no, it's not like that. Yeah, okay, precise play from a Chinese player, whatever. 1 point. For Napalm Eye. For his monastery. And now look at this. The doctor gets the dagger, which he is going to use to go... or actually, will he? That's a great question. No, he does not. Also, what's up with the quadruple city tile? So the quadruple city tile must have been discarded when we didn't see it. Okay, that makes sense. Maybe both players were expecting it. So blue fails to draw a city cap and reduce the point difference in this game, and red manages to come through. Yeah, so these monasteries, these cities over here, this city is over here, and even though at some point it looked very, very good for Giannis, I think at the end of the day, it was just this tactic over here that made life so difficult for Giannis. I told about the blocking of the city, the orientation is a little bit different. If you're just joining, you can just rewind the stream and go through the analysis over here. So a very back and forth game. Kind of some chances for blue still almost until the end. Well, maybe with some 10 tiles remaining, it was already extremely, extremely hard. And the doctor will prevail yet again. So plus 27 for Dr. Taihan, which means that we get to lose this duel. Still quite a useful experience against an incredibly strong team. A lot of work, a lot of practice to do, as you can see, for us, but that's why we're doing these matches, that we're doing these streams. Before I... Wait, there was one more. How's Phosphate doing with Silent Monk? Oh, they're still playing. Okay, there we go. So we actually get to see some of them. And, well, the Latvian is ahead here, but not for long. You know why? Because this city, this big city, seems to be belonging to Phosphates. Look at these 2 green meeples and just 1 red meeple, so that certainly is unfortunate. Does red have stuff to compensate? And it does not appear to be the case. Is Red really doing rough on those farmers, huh? Because look at this. Red was fighting kind of really hard for the field. But then Green dropped already more farmers in anticipation. So even if Red manages to invade over here, Red will not have the field equalizations. Yeah, so it looks like a big difference here for the Chinese player, who's actually is surprisingly relatively new to Carcassonne. So Phosphate is known more as an Azul player, one of the 2 players only who has an elo greater than 1,000. Yes, you heard me right. So just to give you a sense of perspective, 700 is the threshold for Master, 800 is like the threshold for top 10 in the world, and 200 points above is Phosphate. Yeah, and so they decided that they have done enough Azul stuff, and they're now trying to conquer Carcassonne, and they're doing really, really well. In just, I think, a few hundred games, they managed to achieve a rating of over 600. And I've played with them one game, and they do seem to have a deep understanding of it, which does not look great for my teammate, who, by the way, managed to complete a small city towards the end of the game and get themselves ahead on the scoreboard. But unfortunately, it's really only the scoreboard that Silent Monk has going for them. The main field of the game right here on the left with 2 blue, why did I do this again, with 2 green meeples for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 for 18 points, plus the ruin for around 20. That confidently puts them 27 points ahead overall. A Self-Evident is saying, I convinced him to join Carcassonne. Oh, that's absolutely great recruitment on your part. Yeah, in general, what I'm also trying to do with my channel a little bit is kind of like marrying the competitive Azul and competitive Carcassonne communities. There's already quite a lot of overlap, but these are relatively similar games in the way of thinking, so it's quite likely that a person who enjoys Azul would enjoy Carcassonne and vice versa. There are some exceptions to this, but largely, yeah, I should really do some more Azul content soon. Anyway, now time to update the match scoreboard properly. So only Denver won against Mitao Cat, Tomato Can once against Aphrodite, QAZ won against Zone 222 in a decider, Phosphate won his decider, and Dr. Taihan won his decider. So 1-6 is the score in the match. China was the favorite to begin with. I'm happy that our newer players at least, you know, put up a fight, and we did have those 4 deciders. We just didn't go our way. So for us, it is back to the drawing board, back to practicing, and China certainly will be one of the favorites to maybe repeat their feat of 2023 and try to reclaim the world champion title from Japan. Anyway, so this wraps up the match. Before we leave, though, just wanted to show you, wait, what's happening? Yeah, some plans for the immediate future. Tomorrow we have 2 interesting matches. I'm going to show both of them. Ukraine against Chile. It's going to be an 8 against 8 showdown, which is going to be even harder to follow. Oh, lordy. But anyway, I'll do my best. Maybe try to prepare really hard in advance for this, because it's just so hard to follow so many matches, so many duels at the same time. So 1800 UTC, 9th of March, that's tomorrow. And then immediately after, without even stopping the stream, Finland against Hungary just an hour later. That's going to be 5 against 5. That's going to be a bit easier to follow. Self-Evident is saying that's only 3 to 4 months of practice is what it took for Phosphate to achieve a rating of 600. Which is actually really good, because there are many people who just don't achieve 600 in many, many years. I've noticed that experience from different board games is transferable as well. Like, for example, if you are good at Azul, that makes it more likely they're going to be good in Carcassonne. No, both imperfect information games that involve tiles. I mean, what else do you really need? Alrighty, so I hope to see you all tomorrow for 2 more friendly matches between strong teams. Make sure to meeple the like button for the algorithm. That would help more than you might think. In case you're here for the first time, subscribe for more competitive Carcassonne content like this. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'm gonna see you soon.